Hi everyone, Coach Boots here. I'm going to ask you to bear with me. This is going to be a longer video than normal. Usually I try and keep my videos on the shorter side, but we've been working really hard on food prep and developing consistent fitness and nutrition routines these past few weeks. So now I want to tie everything that we've chatted about with respect to food prep together. So I'm going to show you my whole routine from start to finish. Now, in the past, I've mentioned that I rely heavily on my Fitbook. So I picked this up at Target, and what it is it's a 12-week planner and tracker. So the first couple of pages are informational. I start off with this page here. So as you can see, there's a place to track your starting measurements as well as your finishing measurements at the end of 12 weeks. I know the Beachbody challenge packs have the same concept, and it's a nice way to track your progress. As we know, not all progress is a number on the scale. The next page of my Fitbook here lets me plan out my workouts for 12 weeks. So as a competitive runner, it's important to me to do this. If you're someone who finds the Beachbody challenge pack calendar sufficient, or you're someone who doesn't really need this level of planning, then more power to you. But I find when I plan and track my nutrition and fitness, I'm more apt to stick with it. It just suits my personality. I'm someone who's diligent, who needs to follow a schedule and tick off boxes, if you will. Now, the next page of the Fitbook lets me plan a week at a time. So as you can see here in the top half, I'm planning my workouts for the week. And in the bottom half, I'm actually planning out my nutrition for the week. So I'm just going to read to you. This week for breakfast, I've decided that I'm going to start out with my Shakeology. As a mid-morning snack, I'll be having eggs and Brussels sprouts. For lunch, I'll be having a salad. I'm going to demonstrate making all of this food for you, but my salad is going to entail super greens, so a mix of spinach and kale, along with mushrooms, beetroot, turkey, avocado, and Drew's shiitake soy dressing, I believe it is. For an afternoon snack, I'm going to be having Greek yogurt with a bit of fruit. For dinner, I will have broccoli slaw and chicken, and then with frozen cherries, my favorite ice cream substitute for dessert. So I plan out my meals and my workouts each week, usually on Sunday nights in my Fitbook. And then the rest, the next page, the facing page in the Fitbook, this allows you to set goals for your week. So you can set weight loss goals, body fat percentage loss targets, workout goals, nutrition goals, and other. And the Fitbook encourages you to give yourself a reward to motivate you. So to choose a reward to motivate yourself. And at the end of the week, if you meet your goals, you should actually indulge in this reward. So I pick a weekly reward. It should not be related to food. So some weekly rewards for me might be going to see some live music, going out with friends, reading a book in Starbucks for rest and relaxation, taking a hike or a walk with the dogs, just really setting aside some time to do something peaceful that I enjoy. That's how I motivate myself, something I probably otherwise wouldn't take the time for given my busy schedule. And then I don't want to spend too much time on this Fitbook, but the other pages go day by day. So on one page, you track your workouts for the day. So whereas before I was planning out, here's where I'll track what I actually did. And then on this facing page here, I will note each meal of the day. There's a note section, so usually I write the time I consumed the meal and any other notes I want to add. I get to write how I felt after each meal. And down at the bottom, I can track to make sure I'm getting the right portions of each food group. So there's a page for each day for the course of 12 weeks. So I start with my Fitbook, I plan everything out, and then I track daily using my Fitbook. From there, I like to put everything in my phone. I like to have a concise place where I can store information. And I am not a big app person. That's partially due to service and storage constraints. But one app I use all the time is the Notes app. So I update my notes. I constantly update my grocery list when I think of exciting ideas for what I want to eat in the upcoming week. So I have a running grocery list. On Sunday nights, I sit down with my Fit book. I might have searched Pinterest to find some interesting creative recipes for the week. Oftentimes I'll search for recipes from the Fix8 cookbook or from the Whole30 cookbook, and I'll prepare a list of the products, the ingredients that I need to buy to make those recipes. So then of course I go to the store. So let's take a quick look at what I have in my fridge this week. Basically the ingredients for the meals that I mentioned. So we have eggs, chicken, plenty of vegetables, my yogurts and my fruit, and then in the freezer, of course, my frozen cherries and my frozen Brussels sprouts. So to prep for the week, I like these chicken breasts. They're from, these ones I got at Safeway, but they also sell them at City Mart or Kroger throughout the country. I like these ones because they're individually wrapped, but to save a bit of time, I'm actually just gonna cook them all tonight and throw them into a nice container. So we're gonna put those on the stove. We're gonna rip them open, of course. Throw them on the stove. And while those are cooking, I'm gonna show you how I prepare my salad. So just bear with me for 1 second. And I'll start talking about the salad prep a little bit. So you might be able to see my mason jars here. I have recently fallen in love with mason jars. You probably know this if you follow my posts, but they are great. I make mason jar salads to bring with me to the hospital each day. What I love about mason jars is I bought mine at Target in Boston. I paid $10 for a packet of 4, and they are good for the environment. So obviously you can pack and reuse them like plastic Tupperware. You can also throw them in a suitcase. And again, what I like about being able to throw them in the suitcase is they're great. I'm doing my part for the environment, and yet there's no harm if they break. They're sturdy enough to sustain being in your luggage, so I haven't actually broken or damaged any yet, but if I do, there's no attachment to my mason jars. Easy to replace. And so I've got my chicken on now. Let's have a look at how I prepare my mason jar salad. So what you want to do is you want to start with the wet ingredients at the bottom. So I'm going to start with my beetroot. So in the produce section, I pick up a package of these Love Beets, they're called. They sell them in pretty much every grocery store throughout the country. So I just take my beets. I'm gonna find a clean carving knife, and I'm gonna chop up. I've used these beets, so I'm actually gonna cut the last. I have a half left over, and then I'm gonna cut the other one in half. But basically, what I'm trying to do is use one single small beet or the equivalent. And what I do, this is my favorite salad because it's vegetable based, which means it's low on sugar and very, very high on nutrients. And so I cut my beet into small pieces. I like to get it as small as possible, if you can see that. And I put that on the bottom of the jar because that is the wettest ingredient. My small knife's dirty. I should have actually used a small knife, but that's okay for now. So I'm gonna throw my beetroot into the bottom of my jar. And what I like to do is shake the jar like this so that it evens out. It creates a nice even layer on the bottom of the jar. And then I like to layer the salad. So again, I like to use super greens. So here I've got my mix of spinach and kale. And what I'm going to do is take just a little bit and throw that on top of the beetroot. And I'll show you in a second. So just a little bit like that. And again, I'm going to layer because to me it's not very appetizing to have a big, huge layer of spinach and then to have all the good stuff, if you will, on the bottom. So I layer it. I have beetroot, spinach, I'm gonna take my mushrooms. I am not set on organic produce, although many people are. So what I do is I just give my mushrooms a little wash here. When I travel, I don't have any vegetable wash. At home, we keep a thing of the Trader Joe's fruit and vegetable wash on the counter. So if I were at home, I would scrub these with that. But otherwise, I just wash them with my hands and rub off the dirt, if you will. And I do visually check to make sure that the dirt has been removed. I'm using about 5 button mushrooms, maybe 6 if they're on the smaller side. And I'm going to chop these up again and use those as my next layer in my salad. So again, I try and chop them as small as I can. Obviously, that is a matter of personal preference. You can go larger or smaller depending on your mood. So just like that, I have diced mushrooms. I'm going to add those to my next layer on top of my spinach. And then I will add another layer of spinach. And when I say spinach, I mean spinach mixed with carrot. So got my spinach there. I love to eat as much as possible, so I actually kind of push it down, mush it together, try and pack as many nutrients in there as possible. Not something that you have to do. Avocado is one of my favorite parts of the salad. So I actually have 2 avocados. I'm going to eat a third each day. So I'm going to take out, I just use a regular eating knife, if you will. That's not the proper term, but you know what I mean for my avocado. And I cut out a third. And the way I do this is I just kind of hold it and I imagine a little peace sign. And I cut along the peace sign lines I would visualize. And then for some reason it never seems to be large enough, the first third that is. So I just adapted it, pull this off. Then what I do is I make lines. So I actually researched it on Pinterest a while back, the easiest way to cut an avocado. So I just go like this. I do a bunch of vertical lines and then a bunch of horizontal lines to make a grid. The easiest thing to do, the easiest thing to do after that is to use a spoon to scoop out the meat, but I don't like to dirty cutlery, so I'm actually going to use my knife and just scrape it out like this to form my next layer of my mason jar salad. Now, actually I have a bit of room left, so I'm going to add another layer of spinach, but that's not always the case. I think recently when I've made this, I've only had room for my turkey on top. And if I'm honest, I don't always stick to this order. I try again to put the wet ingredients on the bottom, but I also like to allow myself a bit of creativity. So I might do, I don't know, I might do avocado and then turkey and then mushrooms on top, just to switch it up a little bit. So I buy Applegate Farms turkey. I have 2 slices per day, so I'm going to take 2 slices that are remaining in this package, and I like to rip them up again into bite-sized pieces. I find the reason I chop everything so small is I actually find it convenient yet slightly challenging to eat out of the mason jar. So obviously you're having to stick your cutlery into the lid, and so for me that's not a lot of room to be cutting things. So that's why I like to cut everything as small as possible before I eat it. Now you'll notice here that I am not actually measuring with my Beachbody colored containers. However, I am calculating. So when I track in my Fitbook, I note down, the spinach. I actually don't really measure vegetables, so I count the spinach as 1 green, even though it's probably several greens. It's so low in calories that it really doesn't matter. You could really eat as much spinach as you would like. The mushrooms are approximately 1 green container, and I don't have more than that. The beetroot is probably slightly less than a green container. The turkey will be much less than a red protein container. And the avocado should be approximately a blue container. And that would be my only blue container for the day. So now it's done. It's as simple as that. I'm going to screw my cap on. And here's my mason jar salad. Now I love the color in this. So we have the red, the green, the white from the mushrooms, green from the avocado, and the turkey. So it looks very cute, very country-ish as well. I'm just going to put it in my adorable little lunch bag, and I'm ready to go with my dressing. So like I said, this week I love the Drew's salad dressings. I don't know if you've tried them before, but this week I have shiitake ginger. So I take my orange container, fill it, pretty self-explanatory. 2 tablespoons is a serving of the dressing. 2 tablespoons is the size of this container. I do check that at the grocery store because I find that some dressings have a serving size of 1 tablespoon, and that 1 tablespoon is quite high in calories and fat. So if that's the case, I might only fill my orange container halfway, but with this dressing, 2 tablespoons is the serving size. So I fill that and pop that in my lunch bag as well. Like I said, I'll be having Greek yogurt and fruit for my afternoon snack. Super easy to prepare, of course. Just take a Greek yogurt out of the fridge. I'll bring my purple container down for breakfast, and I'll actually, my hotel, most hotels have free breakfast, so I will take some fruit from the breakfast buffet. All the while, I am cooking my chicken breasts over here, so I think they're about ready to flip. I'm not going to worry about making sure that we see the entire cooking of the chicken, because I'm pretty sure you all know how to cook chicken. But what I'll do is when that's done, I will pop the 3 large breasts into a storage container. I'll leave it in the fridge. At that point, I will add my broccoli slaw to the pan, and I'll cook that up. I'll put that into the other storage container, put that in the fridge. That way when I get home each night around 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., it's never 6 p.m., it's a lot closer to 7, I will be able to go out and do my training run, come home around 8, I'll be starving, and I'll have dinner already. I'll just have to scoop myself a bit of the broccoli slaw, take one of the chicken breasts, lay them out on a plate, and throw them in the microwave. Okay, so I need to prep my breakfast still. Pretty self-explanatory. I do like to make fresh eggs. So at home we have our chickens, and I will cook a fresh omelet or something when I'm home. When I'm on the road, I don't have that luxury. And although they serve eggs for free at our breakfast bars in most hotels, I like all natural. So I like these egg blends best. The ingredients are listed solely as eggs, which indicates that there are no preservatives, because there are other brands of hard-boiled eggs pre-made out there. So again, what these are pre-made hard-boiled eggs, if you're not familiar with them. Pretty self-explanatory. I take my red protein container and I put 2 of them in there, throw the cap on, and add that to my lunch bag. And what that allows me to do is just to grab those eggs whenever I'm hungry. I also take my Brussels sprouts. So I buy these steamed in the bag Brussels sprouts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the directions first of all. So I need to gently massage the bag to break apart the vegetables before cooking. And then I need to place the bag on in the microwave, and this one says to cook for 7 minutes. So I'm going to cook this for 7 minutes. I'll start it, but again, I don't think we need to see the end. So what I will do, 7 minutes start. What I'll do is I'll let that finish, and then I'll take my green container and I'll fill that with the Brussels sprouts. Now, Shakeology is my lifesaver. I cannot stress this enough. So when we're talking about food prep, I always make sure that I have Shakeology on hand. And I find that my eating stays a lot more on track when I begin each day with Shakeology first thing. So I'm going to grab my Shakeology. also keep these 100-calorie nuts on hand as well. Oops, my computer's frozen. Let me just unlock that. Sorry, I don't know if my video kept going while that happened or not. So I have my Shakeology. I have my 100-calorie nuts. I love these because they're portion controlled for you. However, it is cheaper to buy a large bag of nuts and portion those out yourself. I personally struggle with willpower, so it's a lot easier for me to buy pre-portioned. I'm just gonna pop these in my lunch bag, and then I have them. I'm pretty much ready to go at this point. So I have my eggs. I'm waiting for my Brussels sprouts, which I'll pop into my green container, and I'll repeat that process every morning. So, or every evening rather, for the following morning. So every evening I will clean out my containers for the day. I will put my 2 hard-boiled eggs into my red. I will take my Brussels sprouts and fill my green container with Brussels sprouts. So I keep about 3 bags of Brussels sprouts in the freezer for each week. I find that about half a bag is the quantity that fills the green container for each day. I remake a fresh mason jar salad each evening, throw that in my bag, throw my yogurt in my bag the night before. In the morning when I'm walking out the door, I go down to the breakfast bar, fill up my purple container, put that into my bag. Every night as well, I put my almonds and my Shakeology into my lunch bag. And then again, it's a weekly event for me to make the chicken and the broccoli slaw. So when I come home tomorrow night, again, I'll take that out of the fridge, I'll plate it, I'll eat it. And then after dinner, my favorite part of the day, a little treat if you will, is my frozen cherries. These are my favorite thing. A lot of people hear me talk about the cherries and they ask questions. It's just really basic. So every grocery store will sell bags of frozen cherries, bags of all sorts of frozen fruit. You can do this with any fruit, but cherries are my personal favorite. So this is my nightly dessert. And I love ice cream so much. I think when I was in college, I actually lost a lot of weight by eating just the salad bar and the soft serve ice cream. But I realized that there's a lot of unhealthy fats and sugars in ice creams, and they should be more of a occasional treat, but frozen fruit is an amazing substitute. So every night I take my purple container, and after dinner I fill it with frozen cherries and eat that. And then I actually follow that by a lemon and ginger tea. One thing I learned a while back is having an evening tea is a great way for you to signal to your body that you're done eating. So basically, if you have a tea after dinner every night, your body gets accustomed to that, knows that once you have that tea, you're done eating, it's time to start preparing to go to bed, and it becomes a habit. So if you struggle with late night cravings for junk food and sweets, maybe you should try that. It might be worth the go for you. Yeah, so that's basically my food prep for the entire week, my system from start to finish. I apologize, I'm a bit frazzled as I'm trying to do it and talk on the video, but I hope it was useful to you, and please post any questions in the comments below. Thanks everyone, good luck!